The reason you're a realtor is because you're helping other people buy an asset and make them wealthy.
Yeah.
You're not a realtor for your own commission. That's secondary. And as long as you remember that, as long as you remember you're in it for your customers' long-term wealth and stability, you will always be wealthy.
So the question is this: how do most agents find the secrets to succeed in today's competitive real estate market, especially when the top agents are keeping those secrets to themselves? That's the question, and this podcast will give you the answer. Hi, I'm Aaron Amuchastegui, and welcome to Real Estate Rockstars. Real Estate Rockstars, this is Aaron Amuchastegui for a quick commercial break, but I think you guys are going to think this is super cool. I recently got to interview Pavan Agarwal. He is the founder and CEO of Sunwest Mortgage Company, and they have this really cool thing I want to share with you called Morgan. After years of development, Sunwest Mortgage Company, a national leader in mortgage originations and servicing, has launched the newest iteration of proprietary AI platform, Morgan. Sunwest's novel application of open ledger technology is groundbreaking and will redefine how real estate sales are transacted. I got to ask him all about this in our interview, and the technology is so neat. You don't have to be doing loans with Sunwest Mortgage for it to be of value to you. But listen to this. AI technology converts a pre-approved property-specific loan to a property-agnostic tradable token, like an NFT. I'm still learning about NFTs, and he explained it to me in the meeting how this is going to work and how once they approve something, you only have to get approved once. Other lenders can then bid to do the loan for you after that quick approval. This approach not only opens buyers and sellers to wider opportunities, but empowers all income bracket borrowers with the ability to present offers with certainty without open-ended financing contingencies. Thus, the borrower is now armed with the strength of an all-cash offer that sellers prefer. 99% of thousands of loan conditions Sunwest received daily were received within 2 hours, and over 30% of those were reviewed within only 30 minutes. So whether you need an updated pre-approval at 10 p.m. on a Sunday or instant feedback on guidelines, Morgan is free and available 24 hours a day to cater to your mortgage needs. You want to try this thing out? Go to usemorgan.com. I asked him about this during the interview. I started using it and started playing around with it. You just go to usemorgan.com and you start having a conversation, whether you're asking about getting your buyer pre-approved, whether you have a question about a buyer that just bought a car and if they're still going to be approved now or how that might change. These guys are doing some really, really cool things in the business. They said in the next 6 months, they're going to start to get approvals down to within just minutes, like full lender approvals within just minutes using this AI tool, not talking to a person, but like texting things back and forth and working it out. So go check out this new technology, usemorgan.com. Real Estate Rockstars, this is Aaron Amuchastegui, and hey, I'm back. And this will be the third time you've heard my voice since May. You guys know that I've been on hiatus with a whole bunch of guest hosts out there as I've been in Arkansas, kind of helping my daughter struggle with her CRPS medical condition. We've got a lot of good news this week. She's been making some really, really good progress this last week. And the guy that we're about to talk to, they reached out about having him on the show. Our team's been talking to him, and I wanted to make sure that I was the one to do the interview. So you not only get to hear my voice this week, and I'm excited to talk about this. I love technology. I love statistics that are out there, and I love new things, as you guys know. But today we get to interview Pavan Agarwal. He is the CEO of Sunwest Mortgage Company. I hope I said his name right, because when people are saying Amuchastegui, it's always impressive when they can say it right. But he's going to talk about all sorts of new technology that they're seeing in the mortgage industry and some of the trends that are out there. Pavan, how's it going?
It's doing good. Thank you for having me. And you did say my name right.
I nailed it. Awesome. Where do you live, Pavan?
I live in a suburb of San Juan called Dorado.
Wow. So what is it like out there in the real estate market right now?
Oh, it's exploding.
Yeah.
In my neighborhood, we see home prices, homes that were selling for $1 million 8 years ago are now selling for $10 million.
Isn't that just
it's crazy?
Unreal. So what's it been like with mortgages and originations and things like that over the last, let's say, 4 or 5 months, right? We know in May, there started to be some big trends. We've seen all sorts of different numbers and changes out there with interest rates. What are you guys seeing on your side?
Well, what we're seeing now is, and I know a lot of realtors will be seeing the same thing, is it went from multiple offers on on a property to now, now you get one or two offers. So slowly turning into a buyer's market. And buyers that are qualified are harder to come by because of the higher interest rates. And also people's cash positions are getting tighter. So, and I'm basically seeing it in the middle income markets. I'm seeing it converted to an FHA market.
Wow. I guess because when they're looking at rates changing or down payments as they're trying to figure out how much house people can get. I mean, most people, the house size they could buy back in February or March, their buying power has gone down, but the prices of the houses haven't gone down. So they've got a $500,000 appetite when they're looking at those houses, but now they can afford 400 or 450 out there. So you're seeing them actually transition to different loan types. How long have you been in mortgage?
Personally, I've been in mortgage since I was a kid. I grew up in the business.
That is awesome.
So
what's that been? So what was that like? And what was your transition to becoming the CEO at SunWest?
Well, it's a family-run business. So my father started it in 1980, and so I've literally been working with him since I was like 12 years old. And so I don't really know anything else other than mortgages and real estate. So before he started the mortgage company, and during that time, he was a real estate broker, successful real estate broker. And the mortgage company started back in the time when there was no regulations, no restrictions on being a realtor and doing the loans on your own deals.
Yeah.
And that's how he got into the mortgage business.
Was it a state? And what state was he in, or was it nationwide, or was it lots of states?
No, Southern California.
All right.
So right here in South LA, Orange County. So in the 70s, successful real estate broker through the 70s. And we still have the brokerage. It's called Real Estate Palace.
Right.
We don't do anything other than our personal investments through it. Right now, all our focus is on mortgage company, but this is a classic American success story. We immigrated to this country in '74, basically with $100 in our pocket, and he became a real estate broker, started buying and selling real estate, along with the brokerage fees, bought up a lot of real estate through the 70s. And simple philosophy, which is buy real estate, never sell it.
As the agents that are listening out here, and you guys hear that story Pavan just talked about this immigration story, right? Coming with nothing, becoming a broker and starting to make that income. And it's really common for new agents to come in and start making a lot of income. I mean, real estate can be a very lucrative business, whether you're a broker, whether you're a mortgage broker, whether you're an agent, it can become very lucrative. And I really like what Pavan said about his dad right now. As he started making money, he started buying real estate. And if you bought a lot of real estate in Southern California in the 1970s and you held it forever, then that was a pretty good investment and a pretty good long-term investment. But the other cool part about it is any real estate that's been owned for any long period of time, even if you bought it, it's really funny to look at stats. Even if someone bought real estate in 2006, at the peak of the last housing boom before the crash, and they held it, it would still be worth more today.
Yes. Yeah, we've blown past our 2006 highs.
Yeah,
way past it.
I was wondering. So I was back in 2006. I was a home builder in Northern California, and so I started down in Santa Barbara area, and then we also had a lot of housing up in the Sacramento area. And I remember seeing the high highs that were incredible, and then those low lows that crashed, and thinking it'll never get back to where it was. But that's the beauty of real estate. Did you ever work as an active agent buying and selling houses as you were in that discovery, or did you always stay on the brokerage side or the mortgage brokerage side?
Well, I worked alongside of my father in purchasing homes. I'm not a licensed realtor. I'm licensed loan originator, but I'm not a licensed realtor.
Yeah.
But basically, every time he bought real estate, every time he traded real estate, I was with him. I mean, back in the day, we didn't, we did everything ourselves. I cleaned houses, I collected rent, and
Yeah.
That's just the way it works, right? So, we I did the construction with him and worked with the construction crew, all of that stuff.
So what advice would you give agents today? As the market's tightening, with what you're seeing and the technology that's out there, what advice would you give to agents today on how to succeed?
Well, as far as real estate investing, it's simple, and I saw it firsthand in the 70s and 80s, and you saw that in the 80s when interest rates were like at 19%, right? And hopefully they don't get back to those levels again.
Hopefully not. I don't think anyone has the stomach for that, right? I just think that the world we live in now, that would drastically change. I hope we never see that.
Yeah, we saw some of our colleagues and our friends get into a lot of trouble because they calculated their real estate investments based on expected appreciation. And that's not a bad idea because, that does work over the long run. But don't forget about you need current cash ROI. Okay, so bottom line is never have negative carry. And those guys, when the rates shot up like that and they were deeply negative, they ended up losing everything.
I think that's great advice. I met a guy in San Francisco probably last year, and he had a ton of real estate, hundreds of millions of dollars worth of real estate. And he'd been investing for maybe 15 years out there or so. But he talked about how essentially he had negative carry every month, but he was a doctor and he just knew it was location. And so he would lose all this money on the carry, but he had this great appreciation. And it really worked out over that spread for him. But he also acknowledged the fact that that bet that because we just had like the 15-year real estate run of our lifetimes, it worked. But in most cases, if he wasn't a doctor paying the extra sometimes $100,000, $200,000 a year in to keep his things going, if he didn't have this other great job, that it wouldn't have worked out. A lot of people investing over the last year or two, cap rates at like 4%, right? People are buying stuff at a 4% rate with putting a 5% loan on it. They're intentionally taking a loss every month. They're saying, well, this is a great area. It's going to shoot up in value. We are just starting to see the changes in that. And I think that right now, when people are asking themselves, can I invest right now? Should I invest? What if prices go down? What if interest rates go up? That advice that Pavan just gave is so sound, because as long as you cash flow, if you buy something today and you can lock in a loan rate that your rent will help it cash flow, then that will offset just about anything else that can happen inside the market. Just about anything else that can hurt you, whether rates go up, rates go down, values go up, values go down. We just talked about people that bought at the top of the market in 06, 07. If they still held it today, their property is worth more today than it was then, even though they probably had 10 years of negative equity. Now, if it was cash flowing that whole time, they're in good shape. So you guys have been working with a whole bunch of technology inside your brokerage, and now is your brokerage still just California, or is it nationwide now?
Yeah, it's nationwide. We're a lender, so we've always been a lender, not a broker. We'll broker out some of the things, some commercial, this and that. We'll broker out, but our focus is middle income. That's 90% of our business done in the middle income. 10% is done in the jumbo and super jumbo market. We securitize everything that we originate. So the goal of our technology is to make the realtors and the consumer's life easier. The number one problem, and again, as a realtor back in the day, not personally, but watching my parents, both of my parents, by the way, were realtors, and watching them deal with their loans. The biggest problem is getting hold of the loan officer.
Yeah. It's true. Yes, I think you're right. I think that is a big problem.
Right. And I think every realtor knows that. And it's not because your loan officer is not a good loan officer. It's just when you're with your customer, you need something now. Right. And everyone's busy. And that loan officer, however, he could be the best guy in the world, but he could be on another phone call. He could be in a meeting. He could be here. He could be there. Right.
Yeah.
But you're facing your customer now, and you need an answer immediately. And it's very awkward to say, well, okay, I don't know that answer. So the technology that we have solves that problem. So you get immediate answers to pretty much any situation that could arise, at least from a lending perspective, from a financing perspective. And we're expanding the AI so that it could pretty much answer every question that can arise from a real estate perspective as well. So an agent can be a super agent, and a super agent basically means what? That when you're talking to your borrower or your buyer, you have the answers at your fingertips. That's how you build trust and respect from your customer. When every time you have to say, let me get back to you on that, or I don't have the answer right now. If you say that over and over and over again, guess what? You're going to lose your customer. You're going to lose the all that money and energy you spend marketing, putting your name out there and your branding out there. And the first time you say, I don't have an answer to that question, right? You just lost all that. So our technology solves that problem.
Yeah. Says some of the things that I was reading about your AI Morgan. It says 99% of the thousands of loan conditions SunWest received daily were within 2 hours, and over 30% of those received were reviewed within only 30 minutes using Morgan. So whether you need an updated pre-approval at 10 p.m. on a Sunday night or instant feedback on guidelines, Morgan is free and available 24 hours a day. So how long has it taken you to build this thing out? And is it ever changing all the time? Are you guys adding features to it? How long have you been working on Morgan?
It's basically my life's work.
Okay. Hey, real estate rock stars. This is Aaron Amuchastegui, and I'm interrupting myself to bring you this commercial break from one of our sponsors. There's somebody I've been looking at for a long time, and when they reached out to me, I said, yes, we have to be able to do this deal. So that sponsor is Follow Up Boss. There's a lot of superstars out there that use Follow Up Boss. What's your favorite CRM?
We're using Follow Up Boss.
We use Follow Up Boss.
So we use Follow Up Boss.
I love Follow Up Boss. I love it. We have action plans now for bringing on new agents. We have action plans for our recruiting.
We call them action plans in Follow Up Boss, which will trigger tasks for the agents to do as far as calling. Follow Up Boss I like more for the integrations with everything, MailChimp, Call Action, all those different products.
I will say we used Sync and we switched from Sync to Follow Up Boss.
Honestly, the greatest CRM I've ever used. I've used Brivity, Sync. I've looked at Boomtown, like Real Geeks, just a bunch of different ones. But me personally, I fell in love with Fub about 7 months ago when I first started using it.
I've used Boomtown. I've used LineDesk. I've used Conversion. And I think Follow Up Boss gives you the most integrations that are simple, and it gives you the best ability to go and integrate large things into one single solitary platform. Yet at the same time, it's still affordable.
I do like Follow Up Boss better just because you can text from the app and things like that. It's just a little more convenient for me.
It tracks everything that I need. I can customize it if I want. If I want to go smart list based, that's fine. If I want to go task based, it's fine.
I think it's one of the best systems, and it's very user friendly.
It just really helps me never drop a ball because it's so user friendly.
I don't have a one horse in the race with Follow Up Boss. Purely objective, Follow Up Boss has been the best one that we've found.
Now, I've used Follow Up Boss. We've actually used it in our non-real estate businesses as well because it's so good at being able to set timers, set automatic texting and emailing. So here's what we got. For Real Estate Rockstars listeners, you get a 30-day free trial. That's normally 14 days. So in order to get this, you go followupboss.com, just like it sounds, /rockstars. Go there, get your 30-day free trial and check it out. Especially if you aren't using any systems or any CRMs yet, this will be a great one for you to start with. Thanks again. Now back to our show.
I did a presentation at a mortgage conference a couple of days ago. And I explained that AI is sort of like cure for baldness. Mm-hmm. The other thing that I track.
Yeah.
Every year they say there'll be a cure for baldness in 2 years.
Yeah.
So same thing with AI. Since the 80s, they've been saying that, okay, AI will be mainstream in 2 years. Because the fundamental algorithms have existed since the 70s. People have known how to program and create a neural net. What was missing has been the computing power, the chips and computers and memory fast enough to execute those. So basically, since the 80s, we've been collecting the data necessary to run a comprehensive mortgage AI. Because the key to a good AI is good training data. Mm-hmm. And good training data comes from experience and keeping track of all of the different exceptions and nuances. And the loan business and the real estate business is littered with nuances, and that's what makes it hard.
Yeah. So you guys have been building it over time, and then now the technology or the computing power out there has been enough. So now you've built this out. And so what is the experience like for somebody? So there's an agent, they're out with their client. Their client has said, hey, what can I get approved for right now? Or what's happening with rates? Or how does this impact? What are the sorts of questions that come on there? And what's the user experience like?
Well, the user experience is really simple because you talk to it just like using WhatsApp or iMessage. You can chat with it or use the speaker button. Voice to text, and you ask it whatever question, natural language that you have. And if it's about a file that you've already started, you can ask a question about that file. You could actually ask it to do things on the file, like send out the disclosures or requalify this borrower because he got a new job, or he just went and bought a car. Now he's got additional mortgage. He's got additional payment. Does he still qualify? So it puts that kind of power in the hands of the realtor, where you would normally be saying, "Oh shoot, what? You just bought a car? What?"
Yeah.
Right, and then you're scrambling. You're trying to get hold of your loan officer. This guy, the offer on 123 Main Street. The buyer just bought a car. Is this deal gonna fall out now? Right. So
that's always the real estate meme too. They show up in a brand new car, like for the inspection a week prior, and they're like, "What? What's wrong?" I don't get it. So that's fascinating. So 10 o'clock at night, something's happening. They're asking, "Hey, can we still qualify because of this?" Or, "Hey, can my buyer buy a car?" Or, "Hey, we're ready to close this thing. We just approved we just approved the inspection. Send out disclosures or send out docs, or let's move to closing." And then if it's a file that's within SunWest, then it starts moving forward. And if it's not a file within SunWest, it can answer someone's questions like, I'm just more generic stuff. If it's not a SunWest file, but if it is a SunWest file, you can actually have it push it through the process. Yeah, if it's not a SunWest file, you can it'll still run the DULP or whatever, still underwrite. It'll still you can upload as a realtor. You can go and upload the tax returns, pay stubs, W-2s, and it'll calculate the income and say this is the qualifiable income. Wow.
It is if it's not a SunWest loan, it just can't issue the formal approval. And sorry, go ahead.
No, and then how quick does that stuff happen? So if it's getting a new approval or like getting a question answered.
Okay, so right now we guarantee 2 hours for complex documents. Most questions are answered in minutes. But if you upload, if you got self-employed borrowers with a schedule of real estate and a couple of K1s, you upload all that, we guarantee those taxes and income documents are reviewed in 2 hours.
How does that compare to a regular mortgage company, a regular lender?
A regular lender, that would be 2 days, 3 days. Yeah, if something that complex, that forget about it, and it'll be escalated a few times to somebody head of credit or something by the time you get a real answer.
Yeah.
So our current guarantee is 2 hours. By October 1st, that can reduce to 1 hour.
How long ago did you launch?
Morgan was launched 3 years ago. Huh. And it was launched internally. So we released it only to our loan officers. And so it's been 3 years of testing, running cases. We've had a guarantee on Morgan for the past, 2+ years. We've after the first year, we said, okay, hey, this is reliable enough, where SunWest issued a guarantee saying that if anything Morgan answers, if it's wrong, we'll stand behind it and we'll eat it. If we have to scratch and dent the loan, we'll scratch and dent the loan. So, yeah. So since then, we've almost, we've had to eat maybe one or two loans. And no technology is perfect. It's going to make a mistake, but we stood behind it. But it's an insurance, right? I mean, one or two loans out of tens of thousands that we've done is nothing.
Especially if you're processing them with AI instead of with people, and you're processing them in 2 hours instead of 2 days. It's like it's a zero risk scenario out there. Or for especially for an agent that you've got a buyer right now that's qualifying for a loan, maybe is even qualified for a loan. If somebody wants to go over to Morgan and say, hey, what rate are you guys looking at? What can get qualified here? Maybe if you're waiting on approval from a different officer, it sounds like people should come test this out.
Yes. Yeah. If you're an agent and you're with the buyer and you want to see what the AI says, and can you get an approval to the AI, and is it a simpler approval? Right. And an agent go in, upload the documents and see what you get. If you like that better, you go with it.
Yeah. That is super cool that you guys have been working on this and now being able to release it. I'm sure over the next year, the AI technology is great and bots are great, and kind of like you've said, everything is getting better and better, and it works really, really well for people that need answers right now. As we're working through processes. What do you think is going to be next for maybe some technological trends that we see in mortgages or the real estate industry over the next few years? Like, is this going to be, will your AI like this continue to grow and do more things? Do you think loan processing will get faster for everyone out there? What predictions would you have?
Well, I mean, I could tell you what's on our roadmap, which is we're taking this down from, we went from 2 hours to 1 hour, and it's going to go down from 1 hour to minutes. And our goal is to have this down to minutes in the next, 4 to 6 months. So instant fulfillment is really the future. Means at point of sale, that means you, the realtor, talking to your buyer. You get the information, you drop it in, or the consumer drops it in, whichever way, and instantaneous, you're going to find out whether you qualify and what are the documents that you need.
Yeah, as stuff like that gets faster and faster, I think it's going to it helps everybody through the process. So I know a common thing that happens is a potential buyer calls the sign and says, hey, this house is for sale. Can you come show it to me? Right. And the agent says, sure. Where are you in your buying process? Have you been pre-approved? Can you afford it? Are you a real buyer? They do a little bit of this qualification period because agents have limited amounts of time. And sometimes they say yes, no matter what. But I think the smart ones do a form of qualification to make sure that they're not wasting anyone's time. You don't want to show someone a house that they love and then they realize they can't afford it either. Right. Or so going through that process. So I think that normally says, here, you can call my lender and go start working with him, and then I can show you the house. And I think that process works, but I can also see how that friction can cancel some of the deals. People are super excited. The moment they call and say, I want to see this house, they're super excited. They want to see this house. And then you tell them, yes, I could show it to you, but first you got to get pre-qualified. Maybe they do call the lender on the next step. And the lender says like, okay, we're going to do this, and this. I can get you your pre-approval in 3 days. You could see that house next Wednesday. And I could see the discouragement go way down. And when you get your system to where you could actually do it within minutes, right? Like that part of your roadmap, I could see that really, really changing real estate for so many people, because the conversation can be, hey, you're not qualified. Yet text this app and tell them you want to get qualified. Go through that process. Call me back in 15 minutes when you've got it, and then I'll see you there in an hour, type thing. Because people are applying for rentals online, providing things like that. So we have a lot of rentals, and they'll go click apply, and while they're doing it, they're uploading pay stubs and things like that. And now the technology can even link to their bank accounts to see like, hey, does their Does their income in their bank match what they said their income was on their pay stub? What's going on with this? And people are doing it to rent houses all the time. And so I do see a change coming in the real estate market for at least for agents when it can get that small. That's like, hey, text this number, start working through this process, and then I can go show you the house. What makes you the most excited about the technology you guys have been building?
Well, here's the thing. What you just said here about text this number and fill out the app, and then I'll show you the house. The problem with that's the current paradigm. I call it the old paradigm.
Mm-hmm.
Is that you lose control of the customer at that point. Now the customer loses any affection for you. Okay, so here you are, superstar realtor, and you just like send me off to an app.
Yeah.
How does that feel? Like, so you put yourself in the buyer's perspective, like, okay, that's what they want me to do, I'll do it. But you can be like, okay, I can do this with anybody. Right.
Yeah.
So that's why we call our technology, if you look back here in the background, we call it empathetic technology.
Yeah.
Okay. So the empathy is really important. And that's the essence of sales. The essence of sales is you need to demonstrate to your customer that you understand them. If you don't, then you're just, what's the difference between you and Walmart, right? You just go to Walmart, buy your stuff, and you're just a person at the cash register, right? So to deliver that empathetic experience, when you use Morgan, you don't just like say, "Hey, go use this app." Okay. First of all, the app, the AI is responsive to the customer, what the customer is feeling. And the AI knows that you referred him. So the AI is going to keep, number one, is going to keep your name top of mind with the customer automatically. Number two is you are invited to join in the conversation with your buyer. So your buyer is not, right now, when a buyer goes on to any other traditional app, they're on their own.
Yeah.
Okay. It's just them and the computer. In Morgan, it's the buyer, the AI, and you. So you never lose touch with that customer. The customer always sees that you're there, and you're having a virtual conversation as opposed to an in-person conversation. But you're there and you're working with him. And for you as a busy real estate agent with multiple buyers, it doesn't slow you down. It doesn't bog you down because you could have multiple conversations going on at the same time. And each one of those customers feel like they're your only customer. And that's the key. Key to empathy is that your client feels like you're the only client.
Yeah. So the empathy in mind. So now if someone is listening to this and they're like, I'm going to try this on my next one. I'm going to try it on a client I have right now that's already in the process. What should that process do? So I think they can go to usemorgan.com, but should the agent go there first? Should the agent tell their client about it? What's the ideal process that creates that empathetic experience to where, where they don't feel like I could have done this anywhere, or, hey, this is the same thing I did last week when you had me pre-qual with the other place? Yeah,
there's 2 points there about the same thing you did last week. I'm going to talk about that in a minute.
Yeah.
The right way to do it is the agent should initiate it. Going to use Morgan, just tell Morgan what's going on and tell Morgan to go contact the client. And when you tell Morgan to contact the client, Morgan will send a text message to the customer and says, "Hey, let's talk." And then the customer joins the conversation. Okay, so that becomes a nice, clean, warm handoff, and you're always there to see what's happening, and you're seeing what the customer is feeling. Morgan actually tracks what the customer is feeling and will keep you informed. If the customer is not feeling happy or starting to not feel happy, you will know, and that's the key. And you will know in real time, hey, this customer is not feeling happy for whatever reason. He may be feeling stressed out, maybe feeling anxious, maybe feeling nervous, maybe he's feeling anxious about submitting his income documents or whatever. So you, as a realtor, as the person who owns that relationship, right? The realtor is the most important person because you've done the hard work of capturing that relationship. Customer acquisition is the most valuable part of any business. Mm-hmm. And the realtor captures that customer, captures the mind share. You don't want to lose it. Okay. So that's the first part. What's the
the second was like so you're wanting to make, so part of the step is you're starting it. So then they get a text from Morgan that says, hey, let's chat. So they feel like the outreach at least happened to them and it happened to them quickly. And then also the second part was the difference to where, because you don't want somebody to say, hey, you already had me do this last week with a different lender.
Yeah, that's right.
What's the difference?
Yeah. So that's where our blockchain technology comes in place. So the way Morgan works is that due to its AI technology, it's able to issue a very fast loan approval and the loan underwrite, and also is able to very rapidly review documents and new information that you submitted. So when you talk to Morgan or you talk to your loan officer through Morgan and you give it information about your financial situation, and within hours, you're going to get a fully underwritten, what we call a true approval, thoroughly reviewed and underwritten loan approval. So you get that within a few hours, and we guarantee that you will receive it no later than 8 a.m. next morning. And that then eliminates the possibility of that approval changing after escrow is open. So you walk into escrow with confidence, and the anxiety is removed because you don't have to worry about the underwriter or somebody else putting in a last minute new request. And so a true approval is conditionally guaranteed that once a true approval is issued, we will fund the loan, barring some material adverse circumstances that that could occur to the consumer, such as the proverbial getting hit by a bus type of situation. So with that approval converted to an NFT on the blockchain, it makes it a tradable commodity so that the consumer can interact with any lender that's on our network and very easily shop for the best deal possible. So the next phase of this is we're working on creating a network of banks on our platform. We already have two SunWest, one other bank right now, and we're talking to three more. Our goal is to have several hundred banks on the platform over the next year. So
you could get them approval from SunWest and say, hey, we're guaranteeing this approval and we will do this loan at X. And then there's a chance that another lender can say, well, we'll do this loan at a better term or not. And now it's like you've essentially approved them and backed them. And then through your network, they'll get a chance to. So in theory, people won't have to get qualified through a bunch of different ones.
Yes, they only have to do it once. And they only have to do it once. They issue an NFT and the NFT goes out for bid.
Wow. And do they have to ask for it to go out to bid? Is that's just the process you guys are naturally building in right now?
The consumer, because the NFT belongs to the consumer, so it's the consumer's choice to put out to bid or not.
That is fascinating stuff. As I try to understand and learn more of it, I went in, I typed usemorgan.com. It comes on and it genuinely looks like it's trying to initiate a conversation. So it says, hi Morgan, what's your name? I didn't really reply right away yet. And then a few seconds, a minute later, it starts to try to talk again. I'm going to play with this. It looks like it's a very quick system for listeners out there. Heck, if you're just curious about what lending AI can do, this is a quick free thing at our fingertips. To go type usemorgan.com, tell it your name, and start a conversation. And I would say test out the technology, ask just about any sorts of questions you can. I'm sure Pavan would appreciate that too. And and just having another resource that works around the clock and being on the front end of technology, this sounds like it's a very new technology. I don't know very many places that are trying to do, I don't know anybody that's explained to me quite like this, but there aren't places there aren't very many options for like this AI driven technology. There's a title company guy that I interviewed maybe a year ago, and they were essentially trying to do title the same way, trying to issue title policies in 20 minutes instead of in 2 weeks and 3 weeks, based on using, the technology as it stacks together. And when I think about the future of real estate with some of these different plans, I get really excited about the concept and idea, and the way that the title guy was explaining it to me too. He said we could start to have these regular loan transactions that occur within a week or two, like a cash buyer instead of a traditional kind of lending type relationship. Every step of the process takes so many steps, but every step of that process is still like brain power, buying power, people, and most of it, technology will be able to continue to tighten up. And it's really cool to see you guys on the front end of that. Pavan, as we're wrapping up this podcast, I'm fascinated with it. I'm going to go play with the technology. Is there anything else that you want to make sure that the listeners know about out there with real estate agents, or words of encouragement, or just kind of anything as you have the floor to tell them whatever you want? Okay.
So first is just a little note about the technology. So we have a new version coming out. It's cloud based, so it'll be released automatically, and the new version is lightning fast. So I've been playing with it. I'm fortunate enough to be able to look at the lab behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about the new version, and it also has the database greatly expanded for realtors, for the kind of situations realtors are often in, and more real estate oriented training. Second is the more you use it, the smarter it gets. Mm-hmm. Right. So basically, every time you ask it a question, and if it gets delayed to answer a question, that means it's learning. And so more, what we want is more and more realtors and loan officers and frankly consumers using it and trying to stump it. So more it gets stumped, right? Mm-hmm. It gets smarter and faster. And the smarter and faster it gets, so we get closer and closer to that, 1 minute or less approval.
Yeah. It's fascinating stuff. Well, Pavan, if there's not anything else you want to tell the agents about life or anything right now?
About life, just roll with the punches. It's as I've been in my life, been so many ups and downs, and when you're going through a down, you tend to think that you'll never get out of it. You tend to get discouraged, but just treat those moments as learning experiences. And and as far as sales is concerned, never forget why you're in this business, which is to make other people wealthy. Right? The reason you're a realtor is because you're helping other people buy an asset and make them wealthy.
Yeah.
Right? You're not a realtor for your own commission. That's secondary. And as long as you remember that, as long as you remember you're in it for your customers' long-term wealth and stability, you will always be wealthy.
What a great two final thoughts to stick with there, Pavan, especially in this, it's a strange time, especially for agents that became agents over just the last couple of years. They became agents in a time when the process to buy and sell a house right now is much different than it was a few months ago. In a few more months, it'll be much different than it is now. It's been, I just posted a chart on my Instagram that showed, new active listings in like the Phoenix area just hit like 17 or 18,000, and the biggest, fastest spike they've seen out there ever. Right. There was 17 or 18,000 on the market, pre all the craziness. And then it was down to like less than 1,000. So there's just big changes happening. And for the agents that came up in the last couple of years, I love both those pieces of advice. The, providing value, but the twist that you put to that is you are in this business to make other people wealthy, to make other people happy, to help them make a decision that's going to help them. over time, not to get stuck in a house that they're not going to want, or that's a bad investment to fill a spot. You're helping them get wealthy in their life. Pavan with SunWest Mortgage, this is super, super fascinating stuff. I think a lot of our listeners are going to be reaching out. I think they're going to be trying the app. So best way to go try the app is go to usemorgan.com. Is there any other way they should be reaching out to you if they have questions about anything that you're working on?
They can just ask the app.
Just ask the app. I love it.
Just say, hey, I want to talk to Pavan, and they'll connect them.
Fascinating, man. Well, congratulations on this. I can't wait for so many of our real estate rock stars listeners, and talk about putting his money where his mouth is with his app and with the technology he's making, right? He didn't say, here's my phone, here's my email, here's this. He said, ask the app and we'll put it together. So Pavan, thank you so much for coming on the show today. And Real Estate Rock Stars, thanks for listening.
Thank you. Cheers. Bye.
Cheers. All right, Real Estate Rock Stars. This is Aaron Muchastegui jumping in again to thank you for listening to the show. Hopefully you guys loved listening to that one. And I want to make sure that you know about all of the extra resources that we have. And also, we need your help. They say podcasts are free. You get to listen to podcasts for free. But what is the cost of that podcast? I would say if I could beg you to pay anything for that podcast, I would say the cost of the podcast is going and giving a review. So whether you download it on Google or Apple or YouTube or anywhere else, please go give us a review. Say what you liked, what you didn't like. It helps us get better guests. The more reviews, the higher we get in the rankings. Right now, we are the biggest podcast out there for real estate agents, and we want to keep that spot because we know there's lots of podcasts out there. So go give us a review. Also, be sure to go to hibandigital.com. If you liked any of the resources that those real estate agents talked about, we've got a huge video vault of those resources for free. Every penny that comes on the podcast that we interview, they give us something that helps them get their deals or helps them work with their clients. And we put that in the toolbox in our vault for you. So go to hibandigital.com and you can get it. If you're looking for real estate education, go to rebusuniversity.com. We have all sorts of courses in there to help agents succeed in real estate, how to get the listing, how to negotiate deals, how to become an investor, all sorts of different stuff, rebusuniversity.com. And if you want to chat with me, go find me on Instagram. And if you come find me on Instagram, you can send me messages. Tell me what you want to hear. Tell me what you liked, what you didn't like. We try to put a bunch of content out there too. You can find me in two different places. It's at rerockstars.com for our Real Estate Rockstars page, or at aaronmuchastegui.com for my personal Instagram page, where I can chat with you about all sorts of different things. Thanks for listening. We'll see you again soon.